I feel like we need to start by talking about how we met in person. For those of you that are not aware, this is Phil Harbuck, by the way, that I'm joined by here today. Do you recall?
You're not talking about Facebook. You're talking about in person.
Facebook doesn't count. That was just sort of a random, like, I see you on the internet.
You want me to go back to the first time I received your energy? In person.
Of course.
Okay, it was outside of some sort of like outdoor market mall, right? In Dallas. We met it was burgers.
Yep, burgers.
Before a wedding?
Yep, like the day before. It was like the night before, I believe it was.
No, I wouldn't have driven in the night before. It would have been right before.
That burger place was not open. That was like in the morning when we started filming stuff.
You came to help me on the rehearsal dinner.
The rehearsal dinner, that's
what it was. It was at the oil...
the Petroleum
Club in
Dallas.
That's right. Okay. Now I remember.
It's all coming back now.
Well, that was what, like 2014?
It was a while ago, yeah.
Probably.
But my favorite part was that you presented me gifts.
I did come with gifts. Yeah.
And I was like, wow, we're setting a good precedent here. Okay, cool.
I have a high... I have like requirements for people to like that I want to work with.
I didn't know if you were like, oh, he does YouTube stuff. Hold on, I gotta like be nice to him or something like that. Nope, not that. Just hey, you want?
No,
something?
there's a certain quality person. I'm like, we're gonna be friends.
Yeah, I get that.
And it's just an accurate read that I have from people. I can usually tell from interactions, even before I meet, whether or not we're going to be friends. I actually don't recall if I knew if you drank at the time, which now is such a wild assumption that I would bring a bottle of whiskey. Because I believe I was working for, I had a client in Houston that was building a like igloo Yeti alternative brand. And so I brought you the maroon color of that. I did know you went to A&M.
Yeah, worked out well. I used that cup for like 7 years.
It was like an Easter egg every time I watched your channel.
It was always in my videos.
Is it going to be in the video?
Yeah.
Is it going to be in the video?
It was guaranteed that Phil's cup would be in the video most likely, and that really was exciting to me.
Like, I knew I had worked my way into your heart.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
So, but yeah, I brought you a cup and a bottle of, I believe, Bullet bourbon.
I think that's what it was.
Yeah. And neither of us drink that much.
No.
Neither of us are avid drinkers at all. I rarely ever drink anymore.
I think I had that bottle for 5 years, and it was only brought out like when guests were over, and it's like, oh, you guys want some whiskey? I didn't pay for it. Here you go. I think it's good.
I believe I still have a bottle of Tito's vodka. It's the only thing I have in my house that's alcoholic, and I cannot tell you how many years ago
just in case though, it's there in case we gotta break it out,
just in case I have a guest that just needs to take the edge off,
really needs a margarita.
And
that was it. And then we proceeded to film that wedding, which you had asked me to film, and you're like, hey, I can't get anybody to help film it. And then Blake Polino just shows up. You had him drive up that day, and he helped film like half the wedding, and then he just left.
Did I?
I'm pretty sure. Like, he was there, and you're like, hey, yeah, there's this Lufkin guy. I'm working with him. Like, he comes up. He's cool. And I was like, okay. And then I didn't like see Blake for years later on until he was working on the How to Film Weddings podcast. And I had like no concept. Like, wait a second. That's the guy that I filmed with Phil from Lufkin. Wait a second.
There's no way I had... That has completely lost me. I did... That seems wild. That seems wild that I even knew Blake at that point. I didn't think I met Blake until years later.
But then we proceeded to film this Catholic wedding. And
I think it was Presbyterian.
Was it Presby? It might have been Presby.
I don't think it was Catholic.
It was a big mega church in like Highland Park, Dallas. And I distinctly recall that I was like, do you want to get these establishing shots? And you're like, nah, don't worry about it. I don't need them. And I was like, I'm going to get some anyways, just because I like felt like stress about it for you. And that was when I was introduced to your filmmaking style, which is, well, we'll just feel it out. Hopefully it comes together in the edit. All right, cool. No big deal.
Listen, My mentality around that industry has changed so much since I started, which was like 2011 probably.
Long time ago.
And I have just relinquished more and more control every year and expectations of what I'm going to do and how I'm going to capture it. But I don't have a lot of memories of that day. I gotta be honest. I've definitely
blacked out.
I've slept since then. I've had children since then. So if that's what you remember, all I remember is one of us droning during that ceremony, stepping outside to drone during that ceremony.
Yes, you
which
were like,
is a
I
big.
got to get the drone. Hold on. And
That's
I was
one of
like,
my
okay.
classic moves. If I know there's if you're going to set up, and we're not going to talk about weddings this entire podcast, or I'm going to.
Oh, I got a lot of other
vomit.
topics. Don't worry.
But it's one of my moves is if I know I have a ceremony that's going to last longer than 30 minutes, the majority of it is going to be up at the front.
Yeah.
I'll just peace out. I've sent second shooters to go get food during ceremonies.
I
wild moves. But when especially video, you're going to sit back, you have 3-4 cameras rolling. What are you doing for 30 to 40 minutes? So I'm going to go out and I'm going to get some drone shots. I'm going to come back in, check in on the radio,
Get a
send
snack
somebody
maybe?
for a pizza. I've definitely done that.
I remember that now. Yeah, you being like, hey, I'm going to fly the drone. And I was like, what? Oh, okay, I'll just babysit the cameras in here. Okay, cool.
I think I had a tough conversation with a security guard that day too. So they get iffy.
And then you proceeded you left something at the reception. I remember that was sort of just the cherry on top of our shooting together. You left.
Oh, where was that reception? That was,
at the Texas State Hall, like the big hall where
State Fair
Yeah,
Hall.
the State Fair Hall. Yeah.
I left my H6.
It's a nice recorder. That's an
Or
expensive
H4.
recorder.
It's probably the H4. I left it at that hall. Yeah.
Just gone.
Yeah, I think we just walked off. I probably left it plugged in to one of their speakers.
And
Yeah.
it wasn't until like the next day you're like, hey man, I forgot that. I gotta go. Can you do you think they have it? I'm gonna call them. I'm like, nah, it's probably gone. Sorry. Okay.
They did have it, didn't they?
I think they did, but you
I
just
got
never,
it back.
Did you?
Someone mailed
Okay.
it to me. Like I think it was. It wasn't the planner. It was like what's that production company? Like Emerald Coast, or they do all the bands. The parent company for all the bands. They have a fantastic staff, but one of their guys emailed me and was like, I've got this. And I was like, do you want to mail it to me? And I was like,
you,
dude, I got you.
Thank you.
Yes. Literally shipped it in the mail to me.
That's amazing. I have memories of that venue has a very, very tall ceiling. Like it's like 5 stories
It is a
tall.
massive hall.
And I had a couple that was like, will you fly your drone over the reception? To which I was like, definitely no. Like, this is a nightmare.
Why not?
I had a Phantom 2 at the time. If you talk about like reliability and it just being willing to be in the air, I'm like, nope, not going to do that. Nope. Okay. And they were really sad, but I was like, hey, listen, I got a GoPro. I'll put it on a selfie stick. We'll put up real high. It'll feel like it. And I kind of did that.
I don't remember those early models. Are those the ones you attached the GoPro to or had the cameras to?
Yeah, you had to buy a separate GoPro.
Yeah, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was a nightmare. But
no, I remember piecing that together. That's wild. I almost brought my original slider. Remember that slider I made from probably 15 years ago? I was just gonna put it on the board right here and just run it up and down.
We get some nice shots here. A little second angle of the podcast.
It sounds like an Amtrak going over a bridge as it moves.
Yeah, you can't actually record any audio when using one of those. Oh man, the losing of your Zoom though reminds me of I had this Catholic wedding that I was filming in Austin, and I left my slider just in the back of the church when I was leaving. Totally forgot about it. Remembered like the next day. Went up there and asked, like, no, we haven't seen it, sir. Sorry. I'm like, it's a slider. Who's gonna take it from a Catholic church? Like, what the heck? I get a call like 3 weeks later. Like, it's so much time has passed. Like, I was about to buy a new one. I was like, I don't even need the slider. Who's using a slider anymore? And some lady calls me and she's like, hey, yeah, we found it. Like, somebody put it in a closet in the back and we forgot about it. We have it. Come on by and get it. So I'm by the office and they're like, here's your slider.
You love something, you let it go, which is usually for any of us gear at a wedding. And Blake would corroborate this. There's a venue in Lufkin where I grew up, and you grew up
And you finally escaped from.
near enough.
No, my wife grew up near enough.
Your wife
I
grew
did
up
not.
near
I
enough.
grew
That's
up
right.
down here near Austin.
There was a venue, one specific venue that I knew the staff, loved the staff, and I think every wedding I would leave something. and it was just that the venue was like 15 minutes from my house, and I was there every month, and I felt so at home. Like, and it was a venue that some parents had built on the back of their property, and then their kids ran it. Mm-hmm. So I mean, all their kids were grown adults, but it was just like a wonderful little like family run thing, and it was fantastic. But I just felt so comfortable. They would always text me and be like, "Hey man, this is your battery charger, isn't it? Hey, this lens cap, that's probably yours."
It doesn't have your name on it, but we just assume you're the only one that leaves anything here, so we know it's you.
At one point, I was just like, just put it in like a folder labeled my name, and like every month I'll come by and just dump it into my gearbox because it's all going to be mine.
It's your own storage facility away from home. Like, oh yeah, hold on. My camera. Oh, hold on. My B cam's over at the venue. Hold on, let me go get that there. Hold on.
I've never. Have you lost anything of value? I've never lost anything of like actual, like a significant monetary value.
Thankfully, no.
Yeah, I've never left like a drone. I've never left a camera. Like, none of that.
No. But I mean, I have like, I do get like messages from people more often than not where they're like, "Hey, I forgot something," or like, "Hey, I left something." I'm like, "Oh crap!" Like, well, I don't think you're gonna get that back, bro. Sorry, it's probably gone forever.
Okay, the wildest story of losing something was probably my highest anxiety moment.
Yes.
Which was footage. You never want to lose footage. But on a wedding day, I had a shooter leave early and hand me SD cards.
Yeah. That's just they're too
And
small.
it's fine. But what I didn't do was immediately go put it in the case.
Yeah.
And one slipped out of my pocket at the reception. And I knew it slipped out because like I checked my pocket later and I was like to go put it up and it wasn't there. A guest found it an hour later. Whoa. And for that hour, I was like legit dying.
Pooping bricks.
But that is the wildest thing because it's a reception. It's carpeted. It's loud music, lights, dark, everything. Hundreds of people.
Yeah, no.
And this guest saw it on the floor and picked it up.
Oh, that down there?
Like, hey, and asked the planner. And I was like, oh, yeah. Ooh. Yeah, that just...
that was one of my backups. Oh, yeah, I guess I'll take that back. Sure. Yeah, okay.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it was wild. But that's the only time I've ever, like, actually lost something that would have been, like, disastrous.
Ooh.
So.
Stressful. Do we need to address us having the same body type?
Where did that do you remember where that started?
I believe that it was our wives. We were at Venture 2019, 2018. I think it was 2018.
2018.
It was in
Ghost
New
Ranch, New Mexico.
Yes. When both of our wives were there, and you and Delaney were like acting.
I was married at the time, yes.
Acting very loving to each other as models. Like, and it's not just like, oh, we need you guys to like look at each other. It's like, we need you guys to make out for the camera so we can get this footage. And I'm like, looking back, I'm like, oh.
You were a while. Okay, so let's start with this story. I was in Scottsdale, Arizona before that, 2 days before that, filming a wedding. Me and Delaney. And like a week before that, maybe, Kaylin and Christy reached out and were like, hey, do you think you would be interested in coming and modeling for this workshop
if you got time
going on? You know, we just, it's out in New Mexico. They didn't say anything about the weather. And we were like, sure, we're going to be in Arizona, so we'll just swing by afterwards.
It's right there. Quick drive.
Just, it's a drop in the hat.
Like
it was freezing. Ghost Ranch is what, an hour north of Santa Fe, hour and a half maybe.
Yeah, and it is
but
cold.
And then we get out there, and there's two other couples. Jay and Mac were couples.
Jay and Mac were a couple, and crap, why am I blanking on? It was like Brittany and what's his name? I don't remember off the top of my head.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's 2018. So yeah, we get out there, and it's like, oh, we're doing some poses, and we're doing some, we're just doing some like general couple stuff. And then there's Matt over, and if anyone's been like to a workshop where you have models and stuff like that, usually you're going to have like 10, 15 cameras pointed at you. Everyone's going to be taking turns. You're going to kind of be like cuddling in a position and then asked to reenact things over and over again. So there's these groups. They split us up. I don't remember how many. Was that the most they had?
That wasn't the biggest they ever did, but it was the biggest one that was ever like at a location like that. I think there was 60 or 70 people.
Yeah. So they split us into 3 groups, and we went out into the like desert, some hills, and we're doing this stuff. So there's a group of like 10 or 15 people, and then there's Matt off in the corner, and he would always be standing like 20 feet away from the group behind a bush, and he'd be just kind of like whispering to the group. He wasn't even leading or directing, and he would be like, hey guys, y'all want to check out this shot over here? Hey, have y'all tried shooting through this tree right here? Hey, what about this angle? Hey, y'all make out. Hey, can y'all kiss some? Hey, why don't you pick her up? Just the most like distracting, disruptive, but yet it worked for, it always works.
People got a lot of good footage out of that. Okay. It was very helpful.
It always works for you. Also, you would just like slide in. You'd just kind of be like, hey, what about this shot over here? Hey, look at this angle. Is anybody,
with that workshop in particular, Kaylin and Christine were like, hey, we want you to come to this workshop. We want you to teach.
Yeah.
And we have nothing else for you to do the entire time. Like other people are like, hey, we need you to run this, styled shoot, or we need to do this stuff. Yeah. That workshop, like, have a good time. So I was like, all right, I'm just going to float
I don't know.
around.
I think I got in trouble at one point because during the last day of keynotes, all the us that were the models just straight like left and went into town and got drunk.
Well, I did not know that.
And I got back, and I can't remember. Maybe it was Becca, maybe it was Levi. Someone was like, hey, Kalen was like looking for you during his keynote. Like he was like, yo, Phil. And it's like, Phil's not here. And it was such an enclosed, everyone was on the location.
Yes.
Except the 6 of us that morning when we were like, we don't have anything to do. Do y'all want to just go get brunch and like get drinks? And then we just left. But it was a fantastic time. I also remember I met Josh Flom at that wedding. And we went and climbed up.
Y'all really hit it off. Y'all became
we didn't really have
bros.
anything else to do. We were just there. There's a wild element to workshops in that degree where you are wanting to like attend and hear things, but at a certain point also you're just going to like hang out and talk with people. And that was me and Josh. Like we were both kind of like, we're at where we're at in weddings. We love where we're at. We're doing our own thing. We don't really want to adopt anyone else's styles. We're not attempting to learn like someone else's color grading or filming, or we're just here to like have fun, meet people, screw around. And so I think 2 mornings in a row we woke up before dawn.
Yep.
And we'd already scouted that hill that we didn't know we could climb up. And it was pretty wild. If we'd gotten hurt, that would have been.
It was a long ways up there, and you were like, "Oh yeah, we went up to the top of that mountain." I was like, "Wait, you did?"
I can't remember who else we brought up there the first day. I think it was Jay and Mac, and we told them like, "No, it's like an easy climb. It's like an easy climb." And on difficult level, we were like, "It's probably a 2." It was definitely like an 8. Like at one point, you were like hands, knees, like 4 points of contact trying to get up the side of this cliff.
I remember there was a moment where the first night we got to Ghost Ranch, one of their people that ran the ranch gave us sort of a briefing, and I don't think you were there for that, but he's like, yeah, so we had to like, we had somebody die up there a few months ago. We had to helicopter the body down. I was like, what? And so you missed that memo.
Yeah, I wasn't there for the security briefing.
So
honestly, a majority of life security briefings I'm not there for. So
missed out on those. Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So back to
Same body.
us having the same body type, which that was a very
It was
large
just
tangent.
so it started off with just a joke. We were similar heights.
Similar heights, similar builds.
That was basically it.
yeah, and our wives
You know?
noticed. And
we,
I remember
we were both a little thicker at that point.
yeah,
Yeah.
and we were both there, just attending, like with
Yeah.
our wives, and then.
And we would be standing
Rachel-
together.
Yeah, we'd be standing next to each other, and Rachel and Delaney were like sitting there looking at us, talking like
Yeah.
quietly, and just about us. And we're like, "What are you saying?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, you have y'all have the same body type."
Yeah.
And we're like, "What does that mean?"
Yeah.
And they're like, "Well, it's the same body type. You just have the same body." And I'm like,
Yeah.
I've never been told that before."
Didn't make sense. But then we just took it and ran.
Yeah,
And then it just became a bit. That was 2018, so that was 5 years ago. So then it just became a bit where anything we would do, we would be like, "Oh, you're drinking a Dr. Pepper? Well, of course you are, because like we're the same body type."
same body type. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, you're filming
Yeah.
that way? Oh, well,
Yeah.
makes sense. Yeah.
Oh, you picked up the Sonys.
you
The new-
switched Sony's.
the new
Same body,
Sonys?
same body type.
Same
Yeah.
body type.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
You get in the gym? Yeah, I'm getting in the gym too. Well, of course, same body type.
It is true. I saw you starting to take better physical care of yourself, and I was like, "Oh crap, we're not gonna have the same body type if we don't
Same body type.
work out equally.
Yeah.
We have to keep this going." So I'm a little behind you still, but I'm trying to catch up.
And I still at one point was trying to start a rumor that I was like your body double. I would, because you're like rise to fame in the YouTube world and the wedding industry career path. And I was like, well, once you get big enough, you're going to have threats on your life, which is a pretty natural space in the top of like, top 5, like wedding,
So
like,
many-
I'm sure Ray Roman has
so many
has
murder
threats
attempts.
again, like once he rose to fame.
Honestly, I would bet Ray Roman has probably had people attempt on his life before.
Probably not due to the wedding industry.
Yeah,
but,
I'm thinking more
so
like
you
his
get
military and police background. And
yeah,
things
you get
like
high
that.
enough in this industry, and you can start getting threats. So then the joke for me was like, well, let me start a rumor that I'm his body double, and then it's actually not Matt that goes out, because of course you take a page out of the playbook of most foreign
Of course.
dictators.
Yeah, it's the plot of I believe it was Star Wars Episode 1 or 2. You have a you are I'm Padme Amidala, and you are my body double that gets murdered.
Yeah,
So I can continue living.
yeah, absolutely. Natalie Portman to your
I don't know.
Keira Knightley.
Keira Knightley? Oh, that's,
Wonderful callback
that
there.
is a good callback. Wow. They act like that in Pirates of the Caribbean.
That's wonderful.
That's
But okay,
great.
so you've recently started a more of a fitness
Attempting
the fitness journey. And we're both mid-30s.
Yeah.
You can say that confidently.
Same body type, same age.
We're both leaning towards, we're both delving towards the idea of 40.
Oh, I will tell you, like, moment for me yesterday at my gym.
What kind of gym?
God, don't make me do this again. Dang it. It's a CrossFit gym.
Okay,
Okay,
we're
it's
moving
CrossFit.
on.
It's
We're
CrossFit
moving
gym,
on.
okay? Which does like help set precedent actually because it's like a group workout thing. So you're more likely to talk to somebody at a group workout than just like, "Hey bro, you benching right now? You want to chat?" Like nobody's going to do that. So
I'll do that.
oh, I know you will. But I'm on like the exercise bike and like, "Hey, there's a new guy here, EJ." And I was like, "Oh, cool." So I was like being friendly, like, "Hey man, like how's it going?" He's like, "Oh, pleasantries." And I'm looking at him like I'm at the point now, and maybe you can identify with this, where I have no clue how old someone is now. Like I see like a younger person and I'm like, I have no clue how old you are. And for me, it terrifies me. Thankfully, I'm very glad that I'm like married and not a creeper and not like weird, because I'm like, I think about like old men that are like hitting on young girls. And I'm like, do they just not know? Everybody's like, do they not know how old they are? And I'm like, I legitimately do not know how old these people are. And I am like terrified that I'm going to say something inappropriate. So I'm never going to talk to anybody because I'm glad I'm not a creeper and I'm happily married.
I like how you stated that like you're married. There was an assumption of like, I'm married, so I'm not a creeper.
I'm hoping
So
that
that's
applies.
not
Hoping that
true.
implies something. For me, I'm just saying I ain't a creeper. Okay, I'm trying not to
But
be.
also-
I'm very aware.
I think it's also just an element of aging where like when I drive past people, I go, that person most certainly has a driver's license, which means they're over a certain age. But I would swear that person's not over 12 years old. And so we're living in an alternate space where like our jobs no longer like stress us. A majority of us know about like healthcare and skincare and like living wonderful,
I'm really bad with
like,
skincare.
like lives that are going to like continue. So like we're looking better. The weird thing for me that always throws me off is like, oh, you don't look like you're in your 30s. And I'm like, what mental image am I working against here though? Like the idea that when you're like 8 years old, you look and like you see someone in the 30s and they're like ancient because, you pull like a late 50s like actor that's had a skincare routine for like 30 years and you go, so either 38 or almost 60 because I can't tell.
Somewhere in the middle there.
Yeah.
Who knows?
We look great for our age. No, we just look great. So there's a
I will
I will absolutely approach someone like on a bench and be like, what's up? So my favorite thing to do at my old gym in East Austin was to go over to kind of people I like kind of knew, like you meet, you're gonna like pass and say hi and stuff like this. And Spotify has a way where you share what you're listening to. It has a lot of new features now of like blending a playlist. Like if I sent you a link, it would like blend our playlist so we could like kind of see what our music would look like together. But this is simply you send a link and like anyone can join like a listening party. I can't remember what Spotify calls it, but and we're not sponsored by Spotify. But I would go over to people that like just like acquaintances that I knew and like knew well enough, and I would text them and I would take their phone and send them my thing. And then just like play what I was listening to, or I would go over and see what they were listening to and send myself a link, and just be like, okay, cool. No, like you keep doing your workout. Like you don't even have to take your. And then I'd be like, because that's you talk about a group workout. I could work out with someone across the gym. We're listening to the same music, but they're doing their workout. I'm doing mine.
It's like a silent disco, but with a workout. That's nice.
But not
at all. I like that. See,
so if you need an idea of how to like feel connected from far away, you can be like, when are you working out? At 9 a.m.? I'll work out at 9 a.m. too. Different cities, same playlist.
See, the tough part is I go to like the 5:30 a.m. workout and everybody's like half awake at that point. And nobody wears headphones.
Because that's the only time your kids are sleeping?
Yes, exactly. The only time they're asleep.
Yeah.
So I have to go work out when they're sleeping.
You're not one of those like wake up at 5 a.m. You got to wake up at 5 a.m. Create the day, win the day by winning the hour.
What is it? I got to start with my cold plunge. That's how you win. You start your day with a cold plunge. And that's it. It is great because we were talking about that and how like there's so many people that are like, oh, you got a cold plunge. My gym like 2 weeks ago got a cold plunge, which was literally just like a freezer that they've filled up with water and they're like, hey, keep it cold.
You can do it anytime?
Anytime that you want. Not like mid workout probably. They might yell at you if you're
No, but it's not like an event.
No.
Like at the end of the day, they have it's like a constant.
It's just
you
there.
You go use it like a sauna.
You pay a little extra and you can get like unlimited dunks. Yeah. First dunk's free. They get you with the first
How
dunk.
Clean is like is there a recirc pump? How clean's that water?
Yeah, they have a filter, thankfully.
Yeah. The gym I used to go to was kind of just a garage gym, which was wonderful. Like it was fantastic because it really felt just like someone's backyard. But the ice baths, man. If you could get there early in the morning, crystal clear, but you get in there late in the afternoon, it is the color of someone's urine.
Are we circulating this water?
Pepper.
Are we recycling
this
water?
Not at all. I think they probably drain it every day and refill it the next day, but there was no like recirc pump. There was no.
Yeah.
And so you're just like, even if you're not dunking, you're just like my idea of like letting my skin soak in all those like, and sure, the pores close up like in cold water, but like, no, I just couldn't do it. I had to do it. It felt great.
That does make me feel better that my gym, they were very like, when they introduced it, they're like, and it has a filter that's always running. Like, I was like, oh, good. I'm glad that
They know the questions.
Yeah, they know.
Yeah,
they know exactly. Like,
okay, so are you a cold plunger?
No, I've never done a cold plunge.
Never?
Never done a cold plunge.
Not even cold water? Not even like the water's gone.
Like,
Not even like the heat's gone out while you're taking a shower?
I've taken like colder showers, and like stuff like that. But like, it's rarely, if ever, intentional. It's more of an accidental thing. And yeah, I've listened to Tim Ferriss' show. I've listened to Wim Hof. I've listened to the interviews, Kay. I know that it
Let's
will
go.
Yeah,
I love Wim Hof's voice just for its voice.
Yeah, no, he's
I
just
don't
a guy
really-
who does as you're talking, just normal.
I don't do his breathing anymore, but like I like his.
Not anymore.
Let's do cold. Let's go. I wish I could talk like him.
So, like I said, I'm getting older, and there's this guy at my gym. I'm working out with him, and he's new. I'm like on the pedal bike next to him, just doing the warm up, and I'm like, "Oh, where are you from?" Blah blah. It's normal talk, and I was like, "Hey, how old are you?" I can't tell, and he's like, "Oh, I'm 20," and I was like, "Oh," I died a little bit inside. Just that, what's that meme? Like, how old are you? I'm 20. Like that was me. I was because I am like 36 years old now, and I was talking to Rachel, and Rachel's like, "Yeah, you could be like his dad. How does that feel? You could be like, you got a kid at 16, easy." And I was like, please don't tell me that. This makes me feel very weird, and I already feel
You're
old.
so young. What's the average? I mean, what's the average gym like buddy? I'm gonna pretend like Rachel's your producer. Rachel, could you look up what the average gym buddy age difference is?
I need
you need a producer. You need the laugh. You need the
Yeah, somebody
in the
doing
background.
their off little things. I can put a laugh track in.
Because I had a gym partner for 2 years probably. That was 10 years younger than me. Like humbling.
Yeah.
At times. And then also a great confidence boost if you're able to like
Keep up with them.
perform your strength next to theirs.
I
so
will
it's like,
tell
what's the, like that but that's the wonderful thing I do love and enjoy about gym culture is that age doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Like you get in there and you got 65-year-old guys next to 18-year-old guys. And if you got a great gym, like the ability for them to like come together and build like together is amazing.
Yeah.
But then it's humbling when you're walking in there and the ligaments around your knees are struggling.
We ain't getting any younger here.
Those ligaments are not getting any younger. And then you see some 16-year-old coming in just knocking you flat on whatever you're doing, and it's embarrassing.
I will tell you the most humbling experience for me was literally the first day that I went to that gym. And I'd been working out with a friend of mine in his backyard for like 6 months prior. So that way I was kind of warmed up a little bit. I wasn't just going in cold turkey to CrossFit. Just, here we go. And
is there any other way to go to CrossFit other than cold turkey?
Go to the gym at all, And so I show up and like, we're doing deadlifts today. And I'm like, okay, I haven't done those since like high school. Cool. All right. We're just going to try this out here. And I'm like, doing okay. Next morning, I was not doing okay. For context, I was in horrible pain. But that day I was like, I'm doing it. And there was this point where it's like deadlifts and box jumps. That's all we're doing. And I'm behind everybody else. Like I'm struggling. And there comes a point where like other people finish the workout, and there's this lovely lady, Kathy, is there. Kathy is in her early 60s, and she is a beast. Like she is just destroying those weights. And she's coming over to me, and she's like, "Good job, you can do it." And like the most humbling moment of my life, being just like really cheered on by this older woman, and I'm like, how'd you already finish this workout? And I'm just thinking in my mind, like, how'd you do it, lady? What are you doing? How are you? Are you on the juice? What's happening right now? Like, I'm trying. Very humbling. Oh, so good.
No, it's the confidence. It's the confidence of older women that if you get into some older classes, they will destroy you. Especially if it's any workaround based on core. Mm-hmm. They have worked their core for years.
They're all cool.
I remember there's a class in downtown Austin. I cannot remember the name of it now for the life of me, but it's like based off of what are those like machines that are like I'm blanking right now.
Rowing machines?
No, it's not. It's the other ones. It's like
ellipticals?
No, they I don't know.
Peloton?
Anyway, it's all core.
Yeah.
And basically you hold these positions for like 60 seconds.
Oh.
And like you're going to change like an incremental, like if you're doing a plank, you're going to like change your plank, like just lift your hips up.
Yeah.
But it's incrementally and because your core is engaged entirely for almost 60 minutes straight.
That is gross.
And the first 2-3 times I did it, I like wept openly during this, like at around like the 30 to 40 minute mark.
Just you shrieking.
And these ladies were just killing it. They were just like, wonderful, change positions, wonderful. And I was like, there were like tears coming down my face because I was like, I'm a mess of a human being. Like this is not humanly possible.
Are you sweating? No, I'm crying.
Yeah.
Thank you. No, these are tears.
This is not for my forehead. But yeah, that's a. I'm glad that our bodies are still similar. I'd like to continue.
We're trying
this. I'd like to continue same body well into our 40s, if possible.
Well, do you think that if we're doing same bodies here, do I need to grow my hair out like you? What do you think? No?
No.
It's a no? Okay.
You're good.
Because the longest I ever had it, like I had sort of like more emo hair.
Like a wavy?
In college. Like it was pretty wavy. It was like down here, and I was getting close to the shoulder length toward the end there. And I was feeling really good about myself. I'm like, man, this looks cool. Like this is it. But it was at that awkward stage still where it wasn't quite long. Like once you brush the shoulders, it's cool. But until then, it's just this awkward mullet looking thing. And I was like going with it, and I'm still going, even though like my parents like, you really need to cut your hair. I'm like, no, Mom, you're dumb. Like, I know what I'm doing. I look great. And then I remember that I was in Dallas at a gas station, and a lady pulled up behind me at the pump, and I heard her go, ma'am. And I turn around, she's like, oh, sorry, sir. I was like, ah.
Did you have a beard at that point?
I had like a little goatee, I think. It was very little. But it was just this moment I was like, dang it. Like, should I cut this now? Like, is it at this point? And I got scared and I cut it. Because I wasn't
never
like,
gone back.
I didn't feel the confidence there. Like, it destroyed my confidence. And I was like, man, like, I thought it was going to be like long flowing haired Fabio dude.
No, you got to accept it. Like, I've definitely had my moments where I've looked in the mirror and gone, this is Farrah Fawcett. Like, this is full Farrah Fawcett. And you just have to own that.
Yeah.
Because it's fabulous.
It is.
Like, I'll wake up and be like, this is a fabulous hair day. Everyone's going to see it. Everyone's going to get it. And I'm going to carry this confidence into literally everything I do that day.
I will say, if we can delve into this a little bit here, I will say that the Phil post-divorce glow-up, the PD, well, I would say it'd be PD or PD, but it'd be pre-divorce or post-divorce. It's the same P, so it doesn't really work. But the amount of photos that I've seen you share where you're just feeling yourself and you're like, oh, look, this is me. Hey, what's up? I'm like, oh, man, Phil's getting some good Tinder profile pics here or something.
I think you probably just didn't notice them while I was married.
I might not.
I think I probably had the same amount before I was married. I was pretty confident.
Yeah, but you didn't have the hair then, so it was.
It had not. You realize it probably had nothing to do with divorce versus married. It had a lot to do with the inner healing that the divorce exacerbated. In that regard. So, because there was always growing up, there was always a confidence of like, I look good. Yeah. Like pure ego.
Yes.
But then like the maturing as you get older is actually then believing that you look this good.
Now I believe it in my heart.
This isn't a projection. Now I'm actually going to like accept but like growing up, super insecure. Like I had a lot of body dysmorphia. I had a lot of like, even that like delved into like eating, like unhealthy eating patterns, which a majority of us have. And so it was always like oh, check me out. Like, I look great. But like inwardly, I was a complete monster.
Do I know?
To myself. Yeah. I was like, this is the worst I've ever looked. And it was such an emphasis on like weight and like all this stuff. And so that whole like 2018 to now has been like healing a majority of that like thought process to be able to go like, no, now I actually accept, like fully accept who I am.
Yeah.
So then that shows up. And I can actually look back and see like what I've posted, and I can tell you like this was me fully projecting.
Yeah.
And then this was me just going like, I am who I am. I look great. I don't need anyone's opinion on it. It's fantastic. But I think for everybody, whenever you go through like a huge monumental change in your life, like there is going to be a certain amount of like glow up, however that looks. So I'll accept the compliment of, I look better now maybe than I looked several years ago. I would simply say I look how I look now, and then I looked how I looked then.
I will tell you too, Spike, to me about like projection and stuff like that. That's really interesting because like if I go back and watch my earlier YouTube videos, like pre 2015, it was like I was watching a completely different person, like me projecting, oh, this is what I think I want to sound like or need to sound like or what I think that people accept. And it's no coincidence that like I first started seeing success on YouTube in 2015 whenever I first like started accepting who I was and not projecting anymore, but being like, this is actually me. Hello, you're getting me on the internet now. Yeah. And it was funny because like I thought that my voice was like higher pitched than it needed to be and more like lispy. And so I would actively try to avoid that. So I go back and watch like really early videos like, hey guys, what's up? Yeah, so here I got this piece of camera equipment here. I'm going to show it to you. And I'm like, what was I doing? Like I was like destroying half of my personality to try to look a certain way or sound a certain way.
There's a large point from 2020 to the beginning of 2022 that just because we're friends, that I went into like coaching.
Yes.
That I went into like men's coaching. And looking back, there's a lot of content that I've left up from that because I fully did believe that at that time.
You kind of evolved too. You were man coaching, you were dad coaching, you were like parental family coaching. There was just mansplaining at some point. I'm like, this is great. Perfect. Sign me up.
Just mansplaining things that didn't need to be mansplained.
Phil's mansplaining.
But then coming out into 2022, I was like, I started moving out of that, like recognizing there was a process of like looking back. I realized I had taken, and this is like literally for anyone that's creative, that happens now. It's way more prevalent now. I took a skill that I found I was good at and immediately tried to go, well, we need to make money at this. And so coming into 2022, I had some pretty big life changes again and was like, hold on. I took a skill that was simply relationship communication and building like more sustainable, more honest, more authentic like communication with my friends. And I like tried to make a business out of it. And that's a very just like murky industry of like coaching and all that. And so coming out, I was like, wait, why did I not just try to enrich the relationships I had? So when I look back at the content of like that space and a lot of content I never released, I could see someone that was like trying to fit into a mold and a very, late stage capitalism product.
We gotta monetize this.
And I just stopped posting all of it. And like, I feel way better now that I can just show up and not be a thing and like just be myself. Yeah. But there's even like series, and I've still got a series that I filmed last fall that I haven't shown anything on because when I go back and look at that footage, like it's a different person. And I go, one, I don't recognize that person. Two, I know I was in that space, so that I was doing what I was doing then, but also like, I am not actually sure I like that person.
Yeah.
And then to like put that content out, I go, it's not necessary.
No, just the amount of times that I've made stuff and I'm like, we're just not going to post this one. This is going in the archive. We'll just lock that one away and nobody needs to see this one.
Well, we're just in a, like, we've been doing this for so long. We're in a far different industry than it was 10 years ago.
Oh yeah.
Or even 5 years ago or even pre-pandemic.
Yep.
So any of that like stuff for me is like, I have to filter through it now and go, is this me or is this me trying to fit into like a mold? And I think that has helped by getting older. Yeah. By just going like, it's not necessary to be anything else.
No.
That's the same thing with weddings too. Like, like there's definitely the wedding industry is always going to have a push to like be a certain way, act a certain way, conform a certain way. And I think I've always leaned towards like, let me just do my thing. Let me just serve my clients. Let me just not. So that whole idea of like needing to show up in the social media space to have to sell your wares was just too exhausting for me. So,
but I will say, I feel like even whenever I first met you, your general stance and demeanor and stuff like that was very much like, I'm doing things my way. And I was like, oh, okay then. And then it was really cemented even more when the Sony a7S III came out and Sony loaned me one early before it was fully released. And I was like, I need to film a wedding with this. Oh crap. And I was like, who will let me do this? And with like zero lead time at all. Like, who has a wedding tomorrow? They will not care. And I was like, Phil will not care. Wait a second.
That's true.
And
you did give me a call like the day before. Hey, what are you doing Saturday? You got a wedding Saturday?
Can I come? Sure, man. All right.
Yeah. Hop in the car. We'll go.
And then I proceeded to, it was amazing. Such a fun time. Oh my goodness. And then, but it was me, you, and Oliver, your second shooter, who was one of 31 Films' second shooters. Who they were like, yeah, we'll loan you Oliver. You can use him. Yeah. And just the differentiation of the way that your business works versus 31 Films business works. They are such a buttoned up professional company. It's like, you're going to get this exact product. It's going to be incredible. It's super high end. It's amazing. And then there's Phil, who's like, what's up, you guys? You excited to get this wedding video? Cool. All right, we're going to film it. It's going to happen. Great. Like, and so it's so chill. But there's this moment where I show up and I'm filming on the A7S III, so I don't care. You're still on a C100. And you hand Oliver a C100, and Oliver's never shot on a C100, and he's like, what do I do? And you're like, yeah, you'll figure it out. And then he just turns to me, he's like, Matt, what settings are these? Like, how do I change the...
I can't remember what he had originally shot on.
Very basic settings. And I was like...
No, but I can't remember what he was like familiar with. Was it Sony or
he
was
on
it
Sony mostly?
GH?
I think it was Sony. But he did just buy a S1H as well.
That's right.
So he was doing Sony and Panasonic. And so I had to kind of be like, here, I'll help you out over here, man. Just I think the setting's over here. Because I hadn't used a C100 in forever either. Yeah. And it all worked out. It was a great wedding video. And I released behind the scenes of that video that did well.
That's right.
And I never told like the bride. I never sent it to the bride. I was just like, this is my YouTube thing. Like I told you, like, hey, send it to her if you want, kind of thing. Because she'd already given permission for me to make the video. And then I get like a cold call from her like 2 months later out of the blue. And I'm like, oh, crap, she's seen it. Like, is she upset? Mm-hmm. Does she want me to change it? Oh, no.
She loved it.
She loved it. Yeah. It was simultaneously, I love this video, and Phil hasn't given me the wedding video yet.
That's right.
So I need something. And so she's like, can you just take out all the parts about the camera? Like, just take out the camera parts. I just want to see the video of like the wedding. And I was like, so like me just making weird commentary about your wedding and just my perspective of it. And she's like, yeah, that. And she's like, what would you charge me for that? And I'm like, I'm going to let you have that for free, actually. You've already let me come to your wedding for free and film it.
Rachel, can you pull up all the times that Matt's videos have done better than the actual videos for us?
Yes, better than, so like, it's so funny because my video, like
it was a good BTS though, but also like that it's such an interesting note too, because like our like industry wise, like it tends to be far more produced, and a BTS is honestly way more personal and intimate.
It was great fun
because you're seeing all the laughter, you're seeing all the crack ups, you're seeing all the like in between spaces, you're seeing all the candids, which normally aren't going to be shown in a like produced 5 minute, 10 minute film. So there was a whole like reasoning why that would have gone over way better in someone's mind. But but also I do tend to operate far differently with weddings than, and a majority of that was learning from photographers. Yeah, which like I watched, and I'm glad now the video has so much more gear, but I mean so much better gear and lighter gear. But I watched video walk in to every wedding, anyone I worked with and anyone I watched even on YouTube with like monopods, tripods, gimbals, all these things. And like psychology wise, like there's so much in between you and the other human. Yeah. So it's like, I'm going to sit down even here right now, table, mics in between us. Photographers working off of slings or harnesses would walk in as a human. Yeah. They'd go, they hug the mom, they'd hug the bride, they'd talk to bridesmaids, they'd like get chummy with the guys, shake dad's hand, all this stuff. And we had this like barrier of gear between us. Definitely. And a majority of it, like to our own detriment, a majority of like us videographers tend to not be as like forward and like extroverted, and because we get to kind of sit back and capture from afar. And then photographers have to be far more. So I took that mentality and was like, how can I do this? And that was right when the Sony A7S III came out. So the stability was already like way off the charts. And I just moved to harnesses as well for video, which a lot of people have now. But it was still always like listen, can we just go in and like be humans and doing a human thing and make it less about, do I have 6 cameras for a ceremony? Do I have this? Did I get this shot? And like actually live with these people for 10 hours in a day. And that was always my drive over. So you'll never get me to sit down and talk about like gear, or get down and talk about like what process and how many cameras I need for a ceremony or reception.
If you even need an audio recorder for that reception, who knows? Maybe it'll just be lost. I don't know.
Do you even need any equipment? Can you just show up on the day and just be? Is my presence enough on the day of?
What's that Walter Mitty thing where he's like, sometimes I don't take the photo.
Sometimes I don't even take the photo.
This one's just for me. But it's you at a wedding, and you're like, this is just for me. And they're like, sir, we're paying you to be here. And you're like, no, this wedding's for me. I'll give you a refund.
You find that guy on the top of a mountain. Are you gonna? Ben Stiller's like, are you gonna take the picture? He's like, sometimes I don't. I'm like, dude, your entire job is to take the picture. Like, wonderful life note, wonderful sentiment. One of the most underrated films.
Yes.
Ever, but also like take the picture. That is also your job,
bro. Like you're gonna get fired if you don't take this photo also. And it's like, well, that's okay. Like, is it okay? All right. Incredible, so good. I will say that there was this moment, gear love or not, there was a moment during that BTS where you and Oliver's like, I just bought that S1H. I need to sell that thing and buy an A7S3 right now. And then you were like comparing the dynamic range. We're like filming the couple together, and you're comparing the dynamic range of the C100 to the A7S3's S-Log 3. And you're like, so you're getting all the cloud detail? I'm like, oh yeah, it's all back there. Like, look at that. There's the sun. You're like,
I'm just like over in the corner, like,
dang it.
Just questioning my entire life, really, up to that point. I don't remember what that wedding was. Was it during pandemic?
Yeah. Oh yeah, that was like,
well, not during pandemic.
That was like August 20. I got a lot of interesting comments about that wedding BTS. It was early pandemic. Yeah.
We all did what we had to do.
We all got paid.
Listen, how much bacon can one eat before, like in one sitting?
In one sitting?
Have you pushed? There was no segue there, by the way.
In college, I did this bacon cheese log with my roommates, where you have about like 2 packs of bacon, you lattice them together in sort of like a basket weave, so they're flat, and then you put a lot of shredded cheese and you just roll it up into a log and cook it in the oven, and so it's just bacon and cheese pouring out of both ends. Sensational. But it is, you will get through like 5 bites and be like, I need to lay down. Like, this is, I can feel my arteries seizing up as I continue eating this. So yeah, there is a point.
There's just 2 things I don't think I could ever give up, which is like avocados and bacon.
No, not.
And I don't know. Sometimes I like it's weird. Like, I don't really have guilty pleasures. That's a weird word. Just pleasures.
Yeah, there's no guilt.
It's just like a pan of bacon and some guacamole. Yeah, it's just like chip. You eat it like chips.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you can do that.
How many avocados have you eaten today?
Nothing wrong with that. Just one, actually. But I talked to Rachel about it. I was like, do you want this avocado? And she's like, no. Are you gonna split it? I was like, I was gonna eat the whole one. She's like,
yeah, just finish it all.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
She's like, then I don't want it. No, you have it. I was like, great. Okay. So I had a little avo toast. Very millennial of me. Made it myself.
Well, same body. We got avocados are like a prime, like number 1 source of food and fuel.
It is funny. So. I feel like 2016, 2017, Matt, living in Dallas, was like, if we bought avocados, we were like having a good like, well, we got some good bookings. Okay, we can buy these avocados. And I remember once we went to Walmart and they had them for like 25 cents each because they had them. They were going to expire soon. We like, buy all the avocados. This is amazing. And now Rachel just is like, we got kids. They eat avocados. Just buy the bulk bag. We'll eat them. And
you literally texted me that bag this morning, and I was thinking, I just bought that bag last night. Like,
but what we did do, I don't know if I told you this. They're out in the backyard. We bought 2 avocado plants, 2 avocado trees last year.
That's a time investment.
Oh, it is. My children and grandchildren will be so thankful that I did this.
We'll have so many more avocados than they can eat on a daily basis.
But we bought them like as saplings. You buy them young, and then they have to grow, and then you plant them. But
is Texas a good climate for? I feel like you need
if you look at the map, the avocado growth map, they have them online. It's
Did not know
like
that was
Mexico is like green all the way, and then it gets like yellow, red, and like Texas right on the line of like, don't
Texas,
do this
California,
here.
like we're
Yeah,
kind of
like
in that.
don't do this further north than here because they need. They're basically like, we want sun all the time, and we don't want any cold. So anytime it like freezes here, I bring all the plants inside, and I just got these 2 avocado trees just chilling in my living room.
How does it do with moisture too? Like we get a ton of moisture here versus like Mexico, California.
Well, hopefully, we're just trying things out here, okay?
Right, yeah.
I had to buy 2 different species because they have to cross-pollinate each other, so you can't buy the same plant. And I also learned from one of like Rachel's cousin is a super botanist person who's like, oh yeah, you can't just grow them from a seed. If you grow it from a seed, it'll taste terrible. Like people think, oh, I got the seed. I'll just put it in water and it'll grow and I'll have an avocado tree. No, like every single Haas avocado that you eat comes from the same tree. Like literally they have a mother tree down in Mexico and they are just grafting like branches off of it and then growing those into their own trees because that way
it's like the one giant tree. Like you go take
it's the
journey,
avatar
journey
tree.
to
It's the avatar tree. Like,
every year. You take your pilgrimage to the Haas tree.
Go to the Haas tree, but it's because they've perfected like their flavor profile for their avocados, and that's why every Haas avocado tastes the same. And apparently, if you get a different avocado, like you just grow it and it'll be like, this thing tastes terrible. It's like, yeah, it'll taste super bitter or super weird. And you won't know why. And it's because like you have to graft it. So the ones that we bought are like grafted from the main tree. Crazy.
I'm going to start telling my guests that when they come over.
It's a good...
These by the way, these are Haas avocados. You'll be able to taste from the mother tree.
It's a good like little...
What's the
story.
age? Like how long does it take to like fully prime and produce?
So we bought them a year and a half ago, I think. I think I think we bought them and they were already like a year old. So they're a few, like I think it says like 3 or 4 years before they start producing anything. But we did find like a baby avocado on one this year, and it was the size.
What's the
of
normal?
a
It's
dime.
like 4 or 5 years. Like
yeah, they're supposed to basically start producing bark, and right now they only have like their young like youth bark. They got their peach fuzz right now. Like they haven't bloomed.
Yeah.
I guess, and then we can plant them. Like they're in pots right now, but once they get bigger, then we can plant them like in normal earth. The only con is right now we have deer that love to eat everything in our neighborhood, and if I put that avocado tree out there, it will be bare within like an hour because the deer will come out. Ooh, leaves. So
you have a lot of deer in your neighborhood.
I got to figure out some sort of like fencing system of some sort.
Yeah. Greenhouse, some sort of like.
We could. Our neighbors have a big greenhouse.
Avocado garden.
Just for avocados.
Yeah, possibly get it protected in some way by the state.
Yes. Sorry, this is a historic landmark now. We need to... Don't ever take this down. Thank you. Okay, cool.
Well, you're pushing 40. You might not be able to see the full ripenings.
Like I said, it's an investment in my kids' future. And if we ever move, like they got tree moving services. They'll come and they'll dig it up and just move it for you. It might die, but... How great would that be? Somebody buys the house because of the avocado trees, and then I'm like, oh, by the way, we're taking those with us.
We're taking those with us. It's proprietary.
That's in the buyer's agreement. Sorry,
avocado tree.
Taking my avocado trees. Yeah, you can come get one basket per season of avocados.
That is the wonderful thing about gardening on yourself is you can start handing stuff away, and it's wild.
Are you a big egg guy? You like eggs? You eat eggs?
I eat eggs. Yeah, I've cut back. I used to eat eggs a lot. I cut back significantly. Like eggs is one of those like leading like acne things, and I had like I've always struggled with acne. So and eggs is one of those things where it's like that's a main proponent to that. I can eat more now. I take a supplement that that like breaks. Well, it's just for skin. That breaks everything down. But I'll eggs just for eggs. How are you gonna? I grew up in Texas. I ate bacon. How are you gonna get away from eating eggs?
I'm saying all this to segue into the fact that my one of my neighbors is and good friends
selling their eggs.
He's doing duck eggs. They have ducks now. Okay. They have chickens too, but they have ducks and duck eggs. And he gave me some duck eggs this morning, and I fried those up. Delicious, like. A bigger bite than a chicken egg. I was like, ooh, this is like a little chewier, but like in a good way. Like, wow, this is all right. This is tasty here. I need to eat more duck.
This is the wildest thing I've ever heard. I don't think I've ever talked to anyone that's eaten duck eggs.
It was good. It was real good. And they're like, yeah, we have them all the time. Yeah, we just cook them like just normal chicken eggs. And I'm like, do they lay eggs every day? Like, yeah, every day. Like, we have these certain species of ducks that this species of duck that we got that can't even fly really. Like, and it's just one species and they lay eggs every day. And I was like, who found that?
I'm learning I don't know a lot about ducks.
I know, apparently. So I'm kind of intrigued.
What's the flavor profile?
It's
a little texture, a little more texture to it.
Everything tastes like chicken. You know, like, what's that, gator? Oh, it tastes like chicken. Like everything, it all tastes like, it tastes very similar to chicken. I was like, I'm not tasting any duckiness there. It was very just chickeny. Okay. So not very different, surprisingly. But I told Rachel hates birds, by the way. She thinks they're really
all
disgusting.
Birds? Just the entire...
Yeah, literally just the entire species.
Yeah.
Just any bird. She's like, they're disgusting. They have terrible diseases. They pass them to humans. I hate them. So my parents have chickens, but Rachel said, we will never have chickens. We're never going to have ducks.
Get it?
Like, okay, no birds. Okay, that's fine. But then I'm like telling her, like, oh, we need to get some ducks. And she's like, we are not. Like, no. This morning she was like putting her foot down, like, definitely not. And I was like, I meant like to buy them at the store. We can just go buy duck eggs. She's like, oh yeah, you can do that. That's fine. Yeah, if you want to get some duck eggs, you can get some duck eggs. I was like, okay, then I'll do that.
I'm just imagining these arguments y'all are having. And it's just like the kicker is going to be ducks.
Oh yeah.
Like what? Like put that line item in the divorce papers.
How much? Yeah.
What reason? Ducks, man.
Honest,
just sort of ducks.
How's y'all's like relationship? Oh, it's really good. There is an issue with ducks, but that's really about it.
I wonder. I know like geese, stuff like that. Like they're quite volatile. Like attacking ducks. Are they like? What's their like emotional disposition?
I think they're a lot chiller. You know, like geese are.
Rachel, can you look up the emotional disposition of a duck?
We need that duck disposition. Thank you. Okay, cool. Thanks, hon. Love you.
I keep a straight face with that one.
I can dub her in, just her voicing over like this amount of time.
Just her laughing. Hey, did you get the new? Have you got the new drone yet?
Which one?
3 Pro.
No.
The 3.
No. I still have the Mavic 2 Pro. I realized whenever I only flew like 3 times a year, I'm like, I do not need to buy a new drone. Like, I'm just not getting the use out of this. Whenever we used to travel a ton without kids, I'm like, pop up the drone. Now I'm like, I don't have time for this. Like,
it has 3 lenses. It's the Gillette of drone.
It's every
of drone makers. Do you remember? And for most of y'all that are probably in your early 20s, you'd have to remember the Gillette is a shaving razor. Is a shaving razor.
I would know what that is.
Every like I want to say like every 6 months, there would be another version of Gillette that had another blade.
We added 4 blades, then
and it
5.
was like 4 blades for a closer, smoother, more intimate shave. And then like I swear to God, it would be like 6 months later, it'd be like 6 blades. And we're getting there. It's like 2 lenses. Yeah. 2 lenses is great. And then like what did DJI come out with? It's
just like with
3
phones.
Lenses.
I mean, how many like there's phones that have like 8 cameras on them now and stuff like that, you know? So we're getting there to the point of
how many lenses are you going to come out with?
I don't know, 5 camera. Like, well, it's the Mavic 3, so they put 3. So the Mavic 4 will have 4, and then we'll just keep going from there. I hope. That's my dream.
Listen, can I talk? I'm going to give you a little mini rant real quick here.
By all
means. I talk about this drones becoming way more popular with photographers?
Yeah.
As a means of taking pictures. This is an issue. It's 2024 is going to be drone wars in the air over wedding venues. This is going to be an issue.
Videographers.
But it's already an issue. Listen, you get a certain amount of time a day that you can throw a drone up and get your shots, okay? And now I've got to like wait in line in FAA controlled airspace to the photographer whose assistant just got the drone, hasn't ever shot on it before, is still using their phone as a monitor. They can't see it in Texas sunlight. They've got like a hood over it to look at it. It's the first time they've ever flown it, and I'm over here like, so like, are we gonna? how long is this going to take? Because
I got stuff to do.
Because it's 20 minutes until the bride. This is the conversations I'm going to have with my brides. It's 20 minutes until you take off, and I'm in an aerial dispute.
I'm in a dogfight.
I'm in a dogfight with this other drone that I did not plan into the timeline. And this is it's getting all I'm saying is getting a little bit wild. I'm having to we're having to get into some wild space.
I think your only fix is to fly during the ceremony, and that way the photographer is going to be preoccupied doing their own thing.
I've seen some wild looking drone catching software that like Russia and
one of those,
the UK
those cannons that shoots a net at it, and
a net. There's also hawks that have been trained.
Yeah, you could do that.
So listen, if you see video pricing go up, and you see some sort of bird fee on there, I have brought a trained hawk that has been trained to knock drones out of the sky.
Amazing.
From Russia, and I'm that's part of my add-on package now.
That's great. I fully that's wonderful. By all means, please incorporate that. That would be I'd film a BTS at that wedding. I'll put it that way. I'll BTS that. The drone fight. That'd be good. But in all actuality, I have seen a fair amount of photographers that I know now. They're like, oh, wait, I can get photos up here? Oh, this looks great. Cool. And the couple likes it. And I will say, I'm somebody that rarely takes photos, but I have some friends of mine. They got an Airbnb. They're like, hey, can you take some real estate photos for us? I'm like, sure. How hard would that be? Like, knock that out real quick. But I was also like, hey, I've got a drone. Like, you want me to do like some aerial photos? That'll really help you guys get some bookings. So I bring out the drone. I do that. And I'm taking these photos like in DJI RAW. And I'm like, or a DNG RAW. And I'm like, why is this so easy? Like, this looks so good. Like, this quality it's the Mavic 2 Pro, but I'm like, this quality looks twice as good as the video version. And I was taking these little photos like, oh, look at this. The dynamic range is off the charts. This looks incredible. Yeah. So easy to edit in Lightroom. I'm like, what am I doing? Like, I still question sometimes, like, why am I doing video? Like, photo, it's so nice and easy.
I never question. In 12 years of doing this, I've never questioned switching to photo.
I love video too much. It's true, but there's definitely like a simplicity to it, and it's so far ahead in some aspects. And I'm looking over there like, just get Photoshop. Let's get generative AI now. Just type in what you want. It'll just edit it. And I'm like, why am I'm like struggling over here to do things, and it looks like photo people are not.
Yeah.
Dang it.
My TikTok blew up like 2 weeks ago with that update. And it was just all photographers going, check out this generative Phil. I was wearing a t-shirt. Now I'm wearing a suit. Now I've got options of suits. It's a wild world we live in now.
It's a whole lot. I don't know.
Are you going to edit this podcast with AI?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, we'll get the AI. It'll go in there and it'll
chop everything up.
No, I'll just switch our heads. That's all it's going to be, so people can tell if we're the same body type or not. It's going to be just it's just going to be your head on my body and my head on your body. That's the only AI shift.
Oh my God, what a call. That's called a callback.
Yeah. And so it's just going to be the same body type. Let's confirm. It'll bounce back and forth. There's going to be people watching the video version like, Matt, you didn't edit this at all. You just put it up like exactly verbatim. Yes, I know. I think I made a mistake a few podcasts ago where I was like, yeah, I'll throw up an image of this thing. No, I'm not. I don't have a producer. Rachel's not over here reminding me of anything. I don't rewatch these before I post them. I just do a light edit, and then I'm like, well, here's your podcast. Okay, cool. I love people that do live podcasts. They're just like, oh, it's live stream. This is the podcast. Okay, cool. See you later. That's the way you do it.
You do a lot of live.
Oh, yeah.
Once a week?
Gosh, once a month.
Once a month?
Once a week would be a lot.
I couldn't remember.
No.
We lived on the same street for a while.
We did. We really did.
We never saw each other.
I moved to be next to you. Like, I wanted to be close to you.
You literally did. You literally moved. You found a house.
I was
2 blocks
we wanted
on the
to
same
move
street?
Closer to my family, and I did not want to move back to my hometown. I was just nervous about doing that. And it was 30 minutes away from my parents. I was like, okay, cool, close enough. Oh, and then I just happened to go by your house because I needed to like upload a video one day, and I needed a Wi-Fi, and my parents' Wi-Fi was too slow. So I went to your house, sat in your kitchen with Delaney. You weren't even there. I was just like, hello, thank you for letting me use your internet. Okay, bye. And I was like, oh, this is a nice neighborhood. Okay, cool, great, whatever. And then we were looking in that rough area, and Rachel was like, "Hey, I found a house on their street. It just went on the market today. Do you want to go look at it?" And so, yeah, we'll rent there. Sure, why not? We'll live there for 2 years as your neighbor.
I want to say we saw each other less than a dozen times.
It was, I think we hung out, like, if you don't count like me just randomly showing up and like, "Hey, what's up?" and then we talk for 5 minutes and leave, like actual legitimate hangouts. We moved and we had like y'all come over for dinner one night. I made like steaks.
Yeah, I remember.
And you came over with Delaney, and it was super awkward. Like y'all were going through it a bit, I think.
We were in it.
You were
in
in
the thick of it. Yeah.
And I remember, God, there's still this moment that I remember that I'm like, could I have saved their marriage? Which is terrible.
Hey, being honest, I had a lot of those. Could I save this?
There was this moment where like I hadn't really moved in yet, and you came over and you were like helping me do something, and you were like, no furniture in the house. You were just like sitting on this bench there, and you were like, yeah, man, like I'm gonna tell you, like the marriage is really hard right now, or something like that.
Yeah.
And I was like,
that.
I felt like I was like, this is the moment. Like I was like looking back, I'm like, tell him like I'm here for you or something like that. And my response at the time, because I was like tired and I just driven down that morning and I was kind of a zombie or something like that, and I was like, man, that sucks. Yeah. Cool. All right.
Yeah. You're like let me take a second. You're in the bathroom mirror, like, get it together, man. This is the moment he needs you. This is a pivotal.
And I just completely dropped the ball there.
You get one chance.
And then like a year and a half later, you're like, hey, me and Delaney are separating. And I was like, oh, I could have fixed it. That was my chance.
And you live with that guilt ever since.
And now I'm confessing it, and it's being released from me right now to the internet. Just, it's off me now. The weight is gone. Oh, man.
No, we were both. Y'all had your first kid at that point. We were in the middle of like the struggle of marriage, what that was looking like, and I remember going like, dude, he's literally that's always how it is. You have someone like right next to you or in the same city as you, you're never going to see them.
Yeah,
you'll see people out of town more often than you will people in your own city.
Who is it? There's somebody that I hang out with only at like conferences and events, even though he like, it's this guy Javier. He's one of them that it happens to a lot of people, but he lives in Austin. Yeah. Like, we could hang out any day we wanted to. And I'm like, well, I'll see you next year at the conference, man. Like, like I'll see you in another state. Like, we only hang out in foreign countries or like in foreign states. I never actually see you in, my friend Sydney, I lived in Dallas. I'm 30 minutes away from him. I only see him at conferences. I was like, well, good seeing you, man. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
My bad.
But it's the same also as people that like, let's say they live in the same neighborhood. You do see them all the time.
Yeah.
And they move 30 minutes maybe down the road.
Yeah.
Like I had a friend that did that moved like about 25-minute drive from me.
Yeah.
And I was like, we'll never see each other again.
Well, that's that. See you later.
No, we're going to stay friends. And I was like, no, I don't think you know how this works.
Like,
we're never going to see each other again.
We're done.
Like,
send
me an email.
Well, when you're like I don't know, there's all the joke of like, when you're in your 30s, you don't see, like, you have to be very, like, I'm going to hang out with this person, so I'm going to make it happen. And you have to be very aggressive, like, when you avail. And, like, for us, for this podcast, you were like, hey, my kid's sick, so I can't do it today. Okay, well, we'll do it next week. Fine. We're going to make it work. We're at the point now where we have some friends of ours from Dallas that we have with two families that we're good friends with. And we're like, one of the family lives in Arkansas, the other family lives in Alabama. Like, we're never, like, when are you going to see those people again?
Yeah.
And Rachel and I realized that. So Rachel was like, I'm going to schedule and coordinate a hangout like this summer. And so next week, like, we're all driving to Louisiana to an Airbnb that we've rented. Like, we all went in on an Airbnb, really cheap vacation, and we're all going to go to this place just to hang out for a week. Yeah. Like, this ain't going to happen unless we schedule this thing. Here we go. So
if you don't schedule it, that is a huge thing. If you don't schedule it, it is not happening.
Yes.
And that's the downside of like, but also that's how I've started to build every relationship now. It's like, hey, you want to be friends? Sure. If you don't set it and do it, because even we've talked about, we live an hour apart. Even we talked about, hey, like, let's go get dinner. Okay. 3 months, 4 months passed, and we're like, hey, so what do you think about that dinner?
I'm running into that with like podcast scheduling now too, of like, hey, we should record one. Okay, cool. When? Next month sometime. Oh crap, it's been 3 months. Dang it, eventually. Okay.
There's some psychology around like when you mention it, if you don't set it up right then. It's the whole thing of like running into a friend and being like, we should grab coffee sometime. probability is like it will never happen.
This instant.
But if you either go, let's go get it right now, or what does Tuesday at 10 a.m. next week look like for you?
Yes.
There's just it's never gonna happen. But
I will say with my church group, we read this book called Find Your People, and it was really enlightening and like really good for me.
Before, yeah.
I think I did maybe, and it was like basically about like building relationships with other people and like how to do that in your 30s and 40s when you're just awkward and you got kids and you're busy. And it was really enlightening where the lady was talking about like you need to have a core group of people that like you live nearby within like 10 minutes of each other that you could just drop by and see. And then she's literally in the book, she's like, just show up to people's houses. Just don't even
come on.
Like,
we're past that a little bit.
Don't even tell them like you're coming by. Just knock on their door. And
you walking by in a stroller to my house like like just knocking on the door. Hey, Phil.
I was like,
Phil!
I'm already doing that. Okay, good. I was already doing that, but like I'm doing that, and like I've really freaked out. Like one of the family that has the duck eggs. They live over here, and they. But I was like, I've just become this person that's just hey, what's up? Like, what are y'all doing? Like, I don't even knock anymore half the time. I'm just like, what are y'all doing? Like poking my head in the door, like, hey, what's going on? I'm very like Kramer-esque. Like, what's going on in here? Oh, what are y'all doing? And they got kids. I know they're busy. They're crazy, and so it's just that trying to sort of foster that at least with some people. I'm cool with it. Rachel is like, no, we will schedule things. Like, do not just. We had some other people we met in our church, and I was like, I know which car they drive. Like, I think this is their house. Let me just go knock on the door. This is probably their house. Spoiler, it was not their house. But Rachel would not let me go knock on the door, so it was okay. But I was fully ready just to go, like, potentially get shot here in Texas, to be clear. But
very potentially.
Just showing up. Like, hey, what's up? Oh, is this not it? Oh, my bad. Okay, like, I'll do it. I don't care. But apparently that was a little weird for my wife. So
it's different. It's different. Is that off?
Oh, you're good. You're good. It's still rolling.
Oh,
podcast.
Just the monitor.
Just the monitor. Don't worry about it.
No, it is different because I feel like it's backwards, and I read this somewhere that I'll never be able to recite. But that's the ultimate like bro, trust me. I read this somewhere. No, but I did read it in this book on community and I was just telling a friend of this last week on Friday. It's so because we're so opposite of how we used to build community. We used to build community, and then from within that community, we would pick a partner.
Yeah.
And now with like how individualistic we like as a country became.
Yes.
It's now we pick a partner, go off and like pretend that we can exist on our own.
Yeah.
And then later, usually in our 30s, we go, maybe we should like start to try to build a community.
Yeah.
And so it's backwards than how it should naturally flow. But it's like now we're learning in our 30s and younger 20s are learning as well. Like you build a community then.
Yeah.
Of shared values, of like ideals, like everything that like matches in like I think that not that it's like that's the fix all of like happiness and like finding joy and things like that, but like it's much simpler. And I've done a very similar built very similar habits of like pouring into relationships that share values and slowly building the community out of people that I can just like drop by their houses. And because I'm very much a like my house is always going to be available for anyone that comes by.
Yeah.
And I've found friends that also share that value as well.
Yeah.
And that's the less individualistic, like, do you want to go visit so-and-so in a couple weeks? It's like, I'm seeing my friends all the time.
Yeah.
I'm on the phone with my friends all the time. I'm at their houses all the time. So right now I do have all these little pods of people, but I'm trying to like mix them. It's like bubbles, you know? So I got these friends here, and I'm trying to get them all together. You're saying you're kind of building this like you're trying to build this community of houses that you can walk into at any point of the day.
Well, I've only got one right now, so I'm working on it here. But it's just sort of
I
like
just see you with this like pad and list. James and Lily, can I go into their house? Not yet. Still building that one. John and
okay, you laugh, but like total 100% confession that I did not think I'd be making on this podcast. I do have a list of like all of my neighbors with their names and addresses because I do not remember people's names well. And so like I literally saw a neighbor this morning walking. He's like, oh, hey, Matt. And I was like, oh, hey, Gary. I was like, crap, I don't remember his name. Dang it. Like, I was like, I gotta consult my list on my phone, but I don't want to be awkward while I'm like talking
Is
to
that
him.
an ADHD thing though? Maybe
A little bit. Also,
of
it's
like
just
not
a
being
lot
able
of,
to like track, and so
it's just a lot of names. Like, it's a lot of.
a lot of information.
I've met like 100 people in this neighborhood, so I'm just trying to like keep track of everybody, and like a lot of them are old people you're not going to see for like 6 months, so it's nice to be able to remember. But it's sort of working through that of getting to know people and like, okay, but I mean, whenever we moved here, we started making cookies for our neighbors. We're like, oh, make cookies and like bring cookies to the neighbors. That's great. And with our daughter Leah, like she was like 3 at the time, and she doesn't understand boundaries and like sort of polite discussion. So she'd be like, hi, like this old lady over here, like, we brought you cookies. Can we come in your house?
Yeah.
And the lady's like, well, sure. And then, but we get in there, and Leah's like, where are your toys? And she's like an 80-year-old woman. She's like, oh, I don't have any toys. Yeah. Leah's like, why does it smell? And I'm like, Leah, we gotta rein this in, kid. Okay, no, there's no smell, ma'am.
Just
no.
looking through the refrigerator.
Like,
you got any snacks?
It's almost that level. Yeah, I was like, oh my gosh. And so, but I do love just that innocence there of like, what's the worst that's going to happen here? Like, let's be friends with everybody. And we've really gotten to know like a lot of our neighbors, and they're all like really great people. And I'm like, cool. None of y'all have tried to murder us yet. Awesome. We're all doing good.
I'm moving into a new neighborhood in 2 weeks.
Wow.
And I met someone who had just recently, oddly, bought a house like 2 blocks over from me. And so we were talking about moving into the neighborhood, and like making friends and all that. And cookies, brownies, like we brought that up because it was like no one brings home cooked goods, and like it's like, okay, maybe it's shifty, maybe it's super sus that it's like, hey, here's some homemade cookies, and it's like, I don't know you, I'm
trying to murder me,
so I'm gonna eat food but like there is something incredibly disarming about a neighbor bringing you like, hey, what's up, just wanted to say hi, like here's some cookies I made. It's like, that's not just like a walk by and be like, hey guys, like that is an old school that like I feel like it should return more because of the value it has to like starting a relationship.
Yep.
So
I will add though that it helps that like Rachel was there. It wasn't just like me like, hey, I made you guys some cookies. Okay. Like just I assume if you're you're going to bring your kids with you, like, hello, like, hi. It's like, it's nice. I meet a lot of the neighbors in the neighborhood, but it's whenever I'm walking with like one of my kids in a stroller. And so it's like, really disarming. Suddenly it's not like random old middle-aged man, instead it's it's loving father with stroller, like, yes, hello, please don't be weird, it's me.
I know what I visually represent. White male. I'm the representation of like everything people hate. Of like every source of violence tends to come from the visualization that I represent. So I can't just like walk up on people's houses and just be like, "What's up?" Also, there on the flip side of that is the privilege of being white and being able to like, when I was scouting the neighborhood we're moving into, it was a very much like, oh, I actually do have the privilege of being able to just drive by and like roll down the window and be like, "Hey, what's up? I'm moving. You want, like, can you tell me about the neighborhood?" And not be seen as a threat as well. So,
see, whenever I was moving down, I just was like, well, where does Phil live? Okay, that's good enough for me. And then I just moved in the neighborhood you lived, like with no context for like anybody else. Like I knew nothing about the neighborhood at all otherwise, other than like, oh, these houses look okay. They're close to the highway, and Phil lives here. Okay,
it takes one person. When I went to look at the neighborhood that we were moving into now, I literally stopped on, there was a woman out walking her golden retriever. And I just pulled up. And I was like, hey, do you mind if I ask you a few questions real quick? And this woman is named Anna. Her and her husband, her husband had a studio in the backyard. Like we talked for like 20 minutes.
Nice.
She told me all about that. And I was like, that was literally all I needed.
Thank you.
I didn't need anything else. I just needed like one person that was like, you're going to love it.
Cool.
This old lady in the corner here, she has these garden parties that the neighborhood goes to every week. There's not a lot of like we walk our dogs out, like telling me the lowdown. And I was like, Okay.
I do have my
I
gun.
don't need a realtor telling me this is a great neighborhood.
She's like,
I need the one neighbor.
I do have my gun with me, but I always carry with me because,
Yeah.
it's Texas after
It's
all.
Texas.
And you're like, oh, yeah, of course. I completely understand. I have mine here as well. Of course. Why would I
Yeah.
not? Thank you, ma'am. Okay.
She was carrying a shoulder mount rocket launcher.
RPG, just hanging out. Oh, my gosh.
Her husband comes out with a Gatling gun on his hip. Like,
Welcome
neighbor.
to Texas. Howdy, y'all. Where was I? I was at when I hung out with Bottle Brush Films, and they came to Texas a while ago. I was like, did they give you your gun at the airport? Did you not get that? They should have given you your gun at the airport for Texas. And they're like, no, they didn't. What? And I was like, yeah, welcome to Texas. That's part of it. Huh?
It's
No?
the opposite of the old Western. You check your guns
Yes.
when you get into town.
Yes.
It's the opposite of that. It's like
Yes.
when you get here, it's like complimentary weapons.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Well, what are we getting for lunch?
The only thing I had was I requested was a meat source.
So you already had your avocado and bacon this morning. Your bacon chip.
I haven't eaten today. I thought about it. I almost ate before I came here, and I said, you know what? I'm going to lunch with Matt Johnson. I'm going to keep my palate clear and also my stomach clear.
We'll call that intermittent fasting involuntarily for semi-voluntarily.
Involuntarily intermittent fasting. So I'm an open board for you to pick where you're going to wine and dine.
Love it. Okay, cool. See y'all later.
Bye.